What's going on, everybody? All right, it's Friday. It's the last day of the month, um, last day of April. So, listen, a lot of things are really going to be on the rise here. Besides the water, and all of the fishing in the South and Northeast Texas, um, even all the East. We're really now going to finish the warm trend, and probably just like Texas, skip spring, and it's going to get hot. But anyways, let's give you a little report and tell you what's going on. So over the last couple days, we've been rising again. Um, we're at 403.17 right now, which is almost 2 inches over pool. I don't believe gates are open. And we really haven't been bombed with water. So it's just been a gradual increase over a couple of days. It's good. It's excellent, excellent. Going into the lake full spring. The fish just spawn on the full moon. Eggs are there now. Males are sitting on those eggs, waiting them to hatch. When those eggs hatch, hopefully we'll hold this water. They hopefully don't dump this water. But being high water puts it all up in that buckbrush. It puts it up in the bulrushes and into the trees, and then it just gives them a lot of cover. With that being said, the clarity really hasn't changed a lot because it hasn't come in real heavy. And without gates open, when they have to open 4 or 5 gates, it'll pull all that mud down from the north. Right now, they haven't done that. They haven't had it to. Some of the backwaters probably dirty a little bit. I haven't been going in there. Water temperatures, Main Lake. Remember, I always give you Main Lake. Okay, this means the backwaters can either be warmer or cooler, depending on the time of year and what's happened. If we've had a 2 or 3 day cold front and cool trend, the backwaters might be colder. If we've had a real good warm trend, like in the winter, they may be even warmer. So I always give you the main body. The main body right now varies from about 63 to 67. Depends on where you are. If you're down south, it might be a little cooler than if you're, mid lake. But the basin, general average of the main basin, 63, 67 degrees. Again, really good parameter. Late in the season, it really should be warmer than that. But here's the deal. If you're coming this weekend, here's what I recommend. There will be bass guarding, fry hatching, and bass really in the shallows, very shallow. I recommend it's really good time to break out the frog. There's a lot of big post-spawn females that will actually come back up into the shallow water, especially with the rising water, and they even in some cases eat their own kind. The shad spawn is also happening in that backwater in special places only, where there's some grass and where you may see some underwater vegetation trying to grow back from the cold. You'll see some of that potato grass, alligator weed. You might see some flickering shad. But the frog, the frog is really, it's time to break it out. And generally for me, I like just a natural colored frog, the spro popping frog. Lately, I did try the 6th Sense, and I really do like that. The castability is really nice. It's made to skip under junk and go real in there nice, and it does. Nice soft texture to it. So the 6th Sense frog is worth it. But the 2 things I would keep in mind about frogs, if you're around shad, I'm probably definitely going to be using shad color. If I'm not around shad, I generally don't. I want to use something like a brim or a brown and chartreuse, a brown, yellow, and chartreuse. I really like the yellow bottom in general, or just a standard bullfrog. All right, one other secret on the frog that a little birdie told me, one of my good friends around here. Usually I'm using a popping frog, and I want to walk it. Okay, a little buddy of mine told me that the non-popping style, just the regular style, and I don't think I have one swinging here. I'd show you. Just the regular pointed nose, the non-popping, no cup, is working well right now in shad colors. Basically more of a white bottom. All right. So one last little tip on the frogs. To walk a frog is kind of like walking the dog with a Zara spook, or with a jerk bait, even trying to make that bait go back and forth. So remember that it's a cadence, it's a popping and really giving back. So sometimes I like to pop the rod and let the butt strike against the inner part of my arm, and that lets the rod snap back, which allows for the head to swap. Another really cool secret here. The most common knot used to give more action to a jerkbait is a loop knot. Okay, loop knots are a really good knot, and it's really best for fly fishing conditions and more what I would call finesse fishing. After fishing Lake Fork for the years that I have, 8 now, I consider Lake Fork a very predator full of giant fish. Like Lee Livesay said, these are baby whales here. And so listen, if you're using the loop knot, I'm not knocking the knot, but there's a better knot, a much better knot that you should be using if you're fishing Lake Fork with your jerkbaits, with your Zara spooks and top waters. And that knot is called a king sling. All right, that knot is used in the ocean. It's used with much larger plugs to give them more action for swordfish and marlin, etc. And it's made for heavier, bigger line, and it's much stronger. It's much more forgiving. It's a higher percentage knot. So it's really difficult to, no point in me demonstrating right here for you, but it's called the king sling. Google it, look at a demonstration of it. It's really easy to tie when you look at a demonstration. It's not that complicated, but for me to show you, it's pointless. King sling knot. Tie that with a frog, and you'll walk the dog better than you ever have before, okay? And it won't fail on the big, big predator fish like we have here at Fork. Whereas a loop knot, listen, I'm an Orvis endorsed fly instructor, and a loop knot is a dangerous knot. Big fish are lost because of loop knot. So king sling. All right, frogs this weekend. The other thing now is really I want to target, if you want to catch fish, numbers and things, and you may get some big ones. You may consider 5 and 6 pounders big ones, but there should be lots of males still in the shallow water, and they really should be hot. They should be guarding. They should be hungry now. The spawn is over for them. There should be some still waiting to spawn. But running the shallows with the frog and or swim jig now. It's the perfect time for swim jig, especially around your shad spawns. So a few quick tips with the swim jigs. Watch your weights, and that allows you your speed. Obviously, the heavier you go, the deeper it's going to run, and probably the faster you're going to have to reel it, okay, to keep it in that shallow water. We're going to fish these in shallow water, around the garbage, the same places we're throwing the frog, okay? The swim jig goes right through the junk. So keep in mind that your weights, generally if I'm really, really shallow, 1 or 2 feet, I'm going to go lighter, like a 3/8. If I'm in 4, 5, 6 feet, I may go to, 5/8 or a little bit heavier. But generally the 3 things that are most important for me are the type of action out of the tail, okay? The 3 actions that I'm looking for are subtle, like the Lake Fork tackle lures, Live Magic shad. This is going to be a fast, tighter action. Then maybe like a Reactions Innovation or a paddle tail or a Live Magic paddle tail, which can have a little more thump, okay? And then or your crawfish style, which is really going to have a lot of thump, okay? So those 3 things are important with a swim jig in the shallow water. I look at a swim jig as though like it's a top water. I really want to fish it fast. I want to fish it in, around, and through as much junk as I can. Throw it through the buckbrush. Throw it through the alligator grass. It goes right through it really well. All right? The sand tone swim jig, anyways, goes right through some of the most crazy stuff. It impresses me and blows my mind every time. But they blow up on it like it's top water. So that should imply to you that I'm fishing it pretty fast, okay? Keeping it up right near the surface, almost riffing the surface like a shad, like you see something darting on the surface. I want it moving fast. Shad colors in general around shad spawn, and brim color, something dark or even a black and blue for everywhere else. If the water's dirty, definitely your black and blue colors. But between those 2, the frog and the swim jig right now, you should be able to get out on Fork and catch a bunch of fish this weekend. And you still may catch a giant because them giants are still in the shallow water, all right? Offshore bite is just about ready to go. I know Keith Combs is down on San Rayburn crushing the weights. And when Keith Combs is catching them, the babies are offshore. And so San Rayburn is usually a couple weeks ahead of us in their process of fish. And so look, that moon we just had last Monday, Tuesday, them big females are done, and the offshore bite's coming, all right? It won't be real deep at first, but stay tuned. We're going to catch some big fish real soon, folks. All right, that's my rundown for you. Couple quick things, just some tips for you. If you haven't put one of these eliminators on your trolling motor, you're really missing out. That's the best money I've ever spent on a trolling motor part. What a balanced deal. Saves my battery even more. I'm running on 3 instead of 6. And that thing, the eliminator, is amazing. You can get it up at the Lakeside trolling motor repair right there at Lake Fork Resort. And while you're in the resort, stop in, get you a burger or something like that. It's the best burger on the lake. So, man, that's enough. I'm Mike McFarland, giving you a Lake Fork rundown for the Friday. I believe it's April 31st, 30th or 31st, but the last day of April. So give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. And look, I'll see you on Monday. Thanks for watching.